on this list here. So if you're looking at it right away, you'll get two options. So let's click through. You'll get two options as defaults. You've got your 30 days past and 30 days past due, 7 days future. And when you click that little button, you'll actually see what those filters are set up as. And these are the defaults that every single person is going to have when their accounts are set up. So you can see the description for the 30 days past is 30 days before today, and then 0 days after today. And then the 30 days past, 7 days future, it's got a similar setup. And then you've got that default saying, okay, well, everybody that gets an account to start off with has 30 days past as their default. But you have an option here, which is going to be that add new button. That add new button is going to give you a prompt that has the same boxes but blank. So now you can set yourself a description and say how many days before and how many days after today. So this allows, a lot of inspectors would want to set something, you can actually just set it as zeros. What that'll do is just say, I just want to see inspections that I'm looking at today. So you could do whatever you want with those numbers there and your name, and select if you want that to be your default, or if you just want it to be an option inside of your dropdown. Or, if you really don't like the ones we gave you, you can go ahead and remove them, or remove any that you may have came up with along the way. So, now the inspector, so we'll go back real quick. The inspector would now select one of these work orders that he's going out in the field to complete. And to do that, you click on the work order number. Each inspection has that specific work order number automatically assigned to it when it's created. And once they click that, it's going to open up the details section. The details section is going to be the main information section, showing all of the basic information that was left on this inspection by either the permit text or possibly by the person that applied for the inspection online. So you can see all that basic information, such as your project information, contacts, and then on the right side, you've also got some notes. So maybe they left you a note such as, make sure to confirm that the gas leak has been fixed, or a very common one with some of the jurisdictions is, here's a gate code, because you go to do the inspection and you don't have the gate code, well, you just got to turn around or try to contact the customer. So that information can be left in that notes section. And then right at the top there, you'll actually see the location history button. This button is used to say what other permits have been assigned to this address. So what other permits have been opened up throughout the years for this specific address that you're doing this inspection for. And then you can see all the information about them down there in that little box. So then you've got the work order details files tab. So now you can see we're actually still in the details tab, but we're in a subcategory of files. This is going to allow the inspector now to be out in the field, and instead of having to open up this permit to see any files or documents that may have been connected to it, they could just go straight to this file section and go, okay, well, let me see what we have here. And they can click on each of those different links, and it'll pop up in a new tab saying, here's your PDF, or here's your Excel sheet, etc., etc. I don't think I did that. So then you've got the last subsection inside of your details tab, which is going to be your history. Now you might be asking, didn't we just go over the history section? This is completely different. That first history section was saying what other permits are assigned to this address. This history section is saying what other inspections are assigned to this address. And you also have within there 2 drop downs that let you select, do I want to see other inspections from this permit, or do I want to see other inspections from all permits assigned to that address? Then you've got the next tab. So we're moving on to a completely new tab. We're not looking at those subcategories anymore, which is going to be your More tab. This is a really cool new feature that a lot of the stuff is not available at all in Inspection Anywhere. So the first thing you've got up there is actually your form letter section. This is going to allow you to open up, as an inspector directly from that inspection, form letters that might be on that permit. So maybe they want to look at one of the permit invoices, such as mechanical or plumbing. They can actually click on that form letter, it'll open it up in a new tab, and it'll pull all that information from the permit, just like it does when you're doing it from the permit form letter section. Then you've got the time materials. So time materials is going to allow inspectors to go in and put in any time materials that they may have had on this specific inspection. So maybe they go out and it's been 3 hours, Ryan worked on this inspection, he put that in, and you can say, I used the backhoe for 2 of those hours. So those time and materials can be inserted directly into the permit from there and attached to that inspection, saying it was worked on for that specific inspection. And then lastly, a section that I'm very excited about is the project detail section. So when you're looking at the permit, you have the project checklist section, which it might be named different things for some jurisdictions, like permit information and such. But that's going to be those tabs where you can go through and put information onto the permit. So now, while the inspector's out in the field, he's able to actually go in and see that information instead of having to go to My Permit Now. So you can click through all of those tabs and see that information. Or they are able to actually insert data directly into these checklist fields. So maybe they're finding out more while on site. Well, the total square footage while they're out there, they find out it's 3,000 square foot. They can put that in and directly save it. And that's going to affect that project checklist section on the permit itself. And then the last section we got here is your actual results tab. So this is going to be the tab that the inspector is using to go ahead and put any information and details about the actual inspection in while they're doing the work. So the first thing you'll have is your notes section. So they'll put in any notes that they may have. Then you've got your checklist section that you're probably familiar with, put in each checklist items in. And then you've got your status. So everything at this point should be selected. And you can go ahead and say, all right, well, I need to add photos or file upload. So this is all very similar to how Inspection Anywhere works, just with a little bit of a UI tweak. But a new feature that we have here is actually the signature pad or the drawing pad. So this pad was designed to be used for 2 different ways. So either the inspector is out and they want to put a signature showing, okay, well, I'm signing off that I've done this work. Or they can actually take the signature from the customer saying, okay, well, the customer is confirming that I've came out and I did the inspection. So that's what they use for the signature part of it. It's also being used as the drawing pad as we designed it, which allows the inspector to put just a crude drawing of the actual site map. So you can see, I put a little doodle down there that shows the road, the house, fence line, and the ditch. So they could just go out and draw that site map just by hand quickly in the box, or anything else that they might want to use this drawing feature for. So that's pretty much the process for the inspector themselves. Now we're going to be looking at really just more of the manager side of things and getting some more details from the system.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yep. Go ahead.
Is there anywhere in there, I see you did the doodle drawing, can you add any pictures? Our inspectors add pictures a lot of times.
Not
Okay, some pictures? Yeah, so if we go back real quick, that would be from that add photos section. So from that add photos section, they're able to go ahead and click that button, and if they're on a tablet or phone, it'll let them either take a picture right then and there, or go through their file library and say, okay, well, I want these 10 pictures that I've taken while I'm out on the site.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. So then the next thing that we'll be looking at is the work order dashboard. Now, you've heard the work order dashboard a few times at this point, said it's a system that if you don't know about it, you definitely want to know about it because it is a great feature. So I'm pretty much just going to be skimming through some items there because I'm really more interested in showing you the routing option here. So first off, through MGO Connect, if you have the settings, you'll be able to go to the Work Orders tab and click that dashboard button, which is going to open up that work order dashboard and give you the options to set your filters. So most of you should be familiar with this. You got your date mode and your date overdue mode. So you select your filter, it'll pop up the work order dashboard, and there it is. So you've got your different colors, your orange meaning in your evening is the inspections assigned for, yellow for your afternoon, red for priority, and gray for anytime. Once again, you're able to drag and drop to reassign. But the feature that I'm really excited about here is your reroute button. So this is going to be very important for managers because the manager will be pulling this up in the beginning of the day and saying, okay, well, I've got all my inspectors and this is what I have assigned to them. I want to go ahead and reroute each of their options on that they'd be going from point to point throughout the day. So that brings us into the routing and mapping feature. So once they click that reroute button, it'll bring them back to that list page, but there's a key difference here. Now it's gonna have a different inspector other than their own account populated there. So it'll have the inspector that they click the reroute button on, and then it'll show all the inspections based on that date range that they had selected for that inspector. So what I'll do is I'll click the button to play this video. Play the video for me. It's not working. Oh, there we go. So they click that sort grid button, and as Ryan called it, move it with the hamburger icon, and then save the grid. And once they have that grid saved, they go ahead and select them and click the map feature. So now it has all of those items shown here, and you can see that the fourth inspection there is actually dead center. So what we could do is we can move that fourth inspection up to number 2 so that the inspector now has them in order and save it. So once they save it, you can actually see that 1, and then there's now 2 instead of 4. So now the inspector's route is more optimized based on what the manager thought would be best. And you can see that there's the beginning point, and then they go 1, 2, 3, 4 throughout the day completing their inspection. So now it's been rerouted for this specific inspector. Along with this, you can click the show route button. This button is going to allow you to see just a quick little blue line between each of those points if you wanted to see it, such as Google Maps would do, just so you can get a sense of how it's going to take you. Because then sometimes you might think, well, 2 is right next to 1, so they're going to get that done. But they could have to take some back roads or go down this other road because it's a one-way. So at that point, you can see, well, the blue line's kicking back on itself a few times. So I'll just make 2 number 3, and they can now go in a perfect line around. So then we have the map feature. So the map feature is going to be used in a very similar way. This is going to allow them to see the work orders on the map itself. And this is actually coming from the asset tracking map. So any of you that might actually be using our GPS system can see the overlay of any GPS units in your current system along with the work orders. So you can see that there's a GPS unit right there for that truck, and they're right next to 2. So at this point you can say, okay, well, since they're next to 2, I might as well just make that one number 1 and quickly rechange that route for them. And along with that, you can click on each of those little points to see more details about the work order itself. So one thing that I did miss here is with both of those points, whether it be the blue little dots or those little circles, you can actually zoom in and grab those icons and move them. And what that's going to do is it's not going to change the address on the permit. It's going to change the location of the inspection itself. So maybe the inspector is actually working on something that's at a shed at an address. So you can say, okay, well, it's not in the house because the house is going to be where it populates it to begin with. And you can take that little point and move it to the backyard to show, well, the inspector needs to go here. So when they're looking at the map, they know, okay, well, I'm not going to have to go through the gate to the house. I could just go around back and do my inspection. And then, so we'll go back real quick to one of the buttons. So the inspector can actually open this same exact page to see their route for the day. And they can see that basic route. But the most important thing they can do here is actually click that little directions button. So that directions button is going to take each of those addresses and populate it directly into Google Maps. So you can see that here. So it'll start wherever their start location is. In this case, they were in gray. And then take each of those work orders and put them in the order that you selected as the manager. So you've got the first work order, second, third, fourth, and it was the optimized route that you gave them for that day. So before I go to the MGO Tasks app, I actually want to go back a little bit to one of my other points here. So in the video, one of the things that you could have saw is right at the top, this is something that Ryan brought up. This is a feature that Inspection Anywhere currently does not have at all, and a lot of other systems don't have either, which is your push notifications button. That's going to be the little bell icon at your top right of your MGO Connect system that has the red number on it. So anytime that a work order has been assigned to you, unassigned to you, or maybe just changed for a date or time, you'll get an alert there saying, hey, you need to check this to make sure that you're refreshing your list here by clicking that filter to confirm that all of the details are up to date. And this is going to be important too if you're changing the route the inspector is using. So now that we've gotten through that, I'm actually going to look at some of the pictures you may have seen from Ryan's presentation for the MGO Tasks app. And once again, this app was made for iOS, but it's being worked on to be in Android. So as of right now, iOS is the best thing that you're going to see most of these pictures coming from. So the first thing you got here is your card system. This is going to show just like the MGO Connect system does with that list of inspections, this is going to show your inspections in more of that Facebook style with the card showing each of your inspections in the order that the manager set it to. And once again, you've got those different colors. And if you're looking at the card itself, you've got some basic details about that inspection. Along with that, you can click that little filter funnel icon, and that's going to allow you to change your view. So if maybe you're not an inspector and you work as one of the permit techs, you can change this to be your requirements. This is going to be your requirements on the permit yourself. So you can change views based on what you're doing for that day or what your position is by clicking that filter button. And then if you click into each of those cards, you'll actually get more information. This is going to correlate with that details tab where it just showed more basic information, such as the type of inspection, when it's scheduled for, the status, the inspector, and any notes that may have been left